But to first start, I think we need to go back 6 months, or I'm sorry, almost a full year at this point, to not only how this came about, but what we've actually researched thus far.
Actually, Steve was just out.
Steve was just coming.
Oh, my goodness. No.
You know what, I gotta sign that part.
Hey, you're sorry about that.
Stockbroker?
No.
I'm sorry. Client.
We get that.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, so last semester we started the investigation specifically on sustainable skyscrapers. What does it mean to be sustainable? What current trends and status are in the development of the sustainable skyscraper community? Exploring some concepts of what it means to perhaps create a vertical ecology, or it's better known a closed loop or ecological system. From there, we analyzed several case studies that utilize vertical ecological planning and design, as well as additional space planning, other studies, as well as trying to contact Net-0 to go with this. And I actually discovered that they're past that 5 energy generation skyscrapers, and that we're just on the cusp of something new that is directly related not only to peak oil, but just energy consumption worldwide. So this semester has been slightly different, at least from the start. I actually got a chance to go out and have a meeting and several discussions with members of Gensler, specific members of the design team that worked on the Shanghai Tower. Not only meeting with them and discussing where the future old skyscrapers are and current status, but what it actually takes to make a current 21st century skyscraper. From there, we've actually had several other members who have actually not only been part of an ongoing dialogue and thinking process, but have actually helped guide the document, hopefully through its completion and summaries. The second part was actually finding the thesis statement and designing a net-0 skyscraper. So in this case, what does it actually take to create a net-0 skyscraper? What does it look like? How does it perform? And last but not least, this has been completed. We've been working on thesis document, which as of now is 100 pages rough. We'll finish in 6 months. So last semester was a major focus on research, but this semester has been primarily focused on design. So first part was actually select site. In this case, I ended up selecting Chicago. This was for several reasons. So first and foremost is the city's commitment to sustainability. The amount of overlaps and familiarity with our own local energy potentials, as well as the city that's not that far away. The ease of accessibility, the iconic history that Skyscraper has within the city, or they're hoping into the next generation. The synthesis that actually comes from combining all of the different eclectic urban use patterns, as well as the actual city center itself. Several of the cities we looked at were a little bit more spread out. The downtown cluster and relationship that it has, especially fresh water systems, was a big plus, as well as the available infrastructure for additional skyscrapers. For the site's case, we ended up selecting on the corner of where the two rivers, the North Branch and Chicago River, this was selected for multiple overlaps with mass transit, as well as connection to SOM's ongoing master plan along the river. In this case, we actually be contributing to what is going to be, in the next 10 years, a pedestrian-friendly, non-motorized corridor that leads to the downtown other part of the city. The site is actually situated between 2 high-rise condos on the north side, several loft developments on the south side, and Boeing World headquarters. However, the site selection was required actually built on the existing Amtrak line, which was also achieved Boeing's World headquarters with some success 10 years ago. Now, the reasons for selecting Chicago are multi-fold. The first is the fact that the amount of potential energy that comes from the backward flowing river, the actual trying to connect pedestrians back to the river site, which is currently occupied by Amtrak. Again, integrating with SOM's master plan, the availability of fresh water, and especially wind, which is well known for, as well as connection to the city. In this case, the first is a view corridor. You get a nice channel straight down the river, actually looking at the site. So quite an iconic skyscraper that come out of this. As well, trying to actually infill some of the vacant land. The downtown loop was overlooked just in the fact that most of it is primarily filled. However, the city's been expanding to the west over the last 20 years, leaving the site on the river to prime mission. So from there, we actually started designing a skyscraper. But how do we do this? Well, the first goals were, okay, we want to create, again, a closed loop system, try to reintroduce natural ecology back to the site, but also explore the energy-space relationships, how much engineering systems or energy collected on site can actually translate and how much occupiable space, but as well trying to utilize the building to feed off of the surrounding waste or other technical nutrients that could be provided. And out of this, create vertical ecology, where each component of the skyscraper actually build off of itself and those that surround it to create a habitable infrastructure. So to start, how do we design for Net-0? Well, first and foremost, we need to reduce initial demand as much as we possibly can. From there, we need to capture the amount of on-site energy that as much as we possibly can, and then readjust all the space that we have inside the building to fit these new parameters that come from them. So in terms of energy reduction, the studies that we did specifically with the Shanghai Tower have shown that some options are to actually utilize the aerodynamicness of the building. So as long as it's a parametric or curved building, you can substantially reduce the wind loads on the building, thereby reducing materials, thereby reducing not only carbon footprint, the amount of body energy in the building. Another example for the Swiss rebuilding actually utilize not atriums all stacked one on top of another, such as the gym out where you have 1,000-foot open space, but actually spreading atriums out so that you would actually lose less heat but still provide an excessive amount of lighting to the building. Other methods are looking at passive ventilation. Right now, currently, most air-conditioned skyscrapers use per square meter 160 kilowatts of energy. This is enough for a square meter to feed houses. By utilizing not only natural ventilation, but natural lighting, you can start to cut these numbers not only in half, thirds, but even further down. The second option is actually have a thinner floor plates, a less wide building, to actually have greater lighting vents. And the biggest one that I actually found was mitigating tourism. Tourism within the building accounts for almost 6% of not only water needs, but the energy to get people up to the top of a building also factors in. Double scanning the facade also has a significant reduction, as well as the color and materials of the building itself. So from there, I actually started by figuring out what the initial energy requirements are. We actually start to create a ratio of how much energy is space. So in this case, we take the amount that we can actually calculate from this, balance the ratios against available on-site energy sources, and then create a new design based off this. So the first and easiest component within the skyscraper is the original office space. So if we take this first component, we start to balance again with available on-site energy. What does what does an office actually take power? Well, a little bit more space than the normal 13 by 13 cube or cube we normally think of. In fact, we actually need several other components to actually balance this out and actually support this. In this case, we need almost 15 gallons of water per person, a certain amount of sanitary to offset this. But the largest amount of space is actually to feed the individual or offset the amount of food production they need. But how does this translate energy? Ratio there at the bottom here of what the office space scale and size is. But how does this relate to energy? Well, the office will use most of the energy for not only lighting and heating, as compared to the other sources. I mean, water requires a certain amount to pump up to the building, but that is proportional height. Sanitary is a very expensive system, but the farming also doesn't necessarily require as much electrical energy as it does for physical energy, the amount of people that actually collect other sources that comes from this. But what does this start to actually mean? Well, the space for the office we have here actually requires substantially more space to balance out or support it than initially required with the traditional planning frames. Two other additional typologies looked at, the hotel patron and resident, which require not only more space than in an office work would, but also more energy, especially for a resident, which is often considered luxury standard, requires almost triple the energy that an office work. What must we do with this? Well, again, we must take the on-site energy that we have, several different sources, and balance this with the actual space that we've now discovered. What do we actually get this? Well, we end up getting a giant calculator, if you will, where we can actually start balancing several of these ratios to actually create the Net-0 skyscraper. So what energy do we have on site? Geothermal, wind, a few forms of hydro, and solar. However, well, all of these are directly related to top height. The higher the wall is going to be, the more surface area we're going to get, the greater the resource collection we're going to have. So again, we're going to try to balance out the on-site energy with the energy we're requiring. Let's start with an example on this. How do we do this? Well, let's say we can start off with a certain amount of energy. In this case, from solar, let's say we get 115 kilowatts. The office space that we're looking at is almost 57 kilowatts after we've substantially proceeded. So in this case, we get two offices that come from that. However, if we stack these offices one on top of another, we get a larger surface area on the south side, equates to heat greater solar potential, which makes for even more energy, for instance. Now that we have, say, double the amount of energy that comes from that, we can start to, for instance, balance out another two offices on top of this. However, when we take those additional two offices, put them on top of the original two, we again increase the surface area and start getting even more energy potential. Now this is just an example, but the actual energy stuff will explain in a second. But I mean, how does these space and surface area building usually relate to the amount of energy that we're going to get? Well, in this case, the number of occupants we have in the building is compared to the footprint building is directly proportional. So in this case, the building's proportions will directly affect the height at which we get a building. If we have, let's say, a thinner building on the left, we'll actually have more occupants that directly translate the height versus a water footprint on the right. We'll have not only less surface area that comes from that, but also less directly translated height. However, again, as we start going taller and taller with the building, the wider buildings actually be able to collect greater resource potential out of this. So there's a fine mix somewhere in the middle with it and start to figure out how it will balance out. So what on-site energy potentials do we have? Well, in this case, we have several different forms. Again, hydro, wind, river water from the actual Chicago River, and geothermal. And these numbers would be all directly correspond to height. So in this case, it's taller and taller the building gets, higher and higher up the potential they're starting to get. And these will be the numbers that we start working with in order to calculate these space requirements. Okay, what does the start to look like? We'll use test examples. So let's say we start with a building with a 2 to 1 floor footprint area. Now what it's going to mean right off the bat, we're going to have certainly a larger surface area underneath function, but unfortunately we're going to have not as much of occupant density translating in height. As well, the wider building we're going to have requires substantially more atriums to incorporate natural lighting. So starting off, we utilize... Okay, so we first start by utilizing, from the bottom, utilizing geothermal and river water to actually start getting us off ground. What this is going to get is about 4 floors worth of offices in this case, a couple of retail. And it's going to get us just a little bit over the 67-foot height. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, so what does some of these numbers look like? Well, we're starting to look at equations and the amount of potential we're going to get, and it's all directly related to size. So in this case, the river energy potential we have, utilizing a normal paddle wheel, the amount of energy we're going to get from this is directly proportional to the size of the width of the paddle wheel in the river. So we're going to start getting into several limits on some of these energy studies, not only in terms of how big the building is, but also the size of the systems. So in this case, the amount of energy we can have potential from the river is limited only by the size of the water. Geothermal is the other option we have, but unfortunately is limited by not only depth, but by the size of the system we have. So again, we get right off the bat, we can provide enough energy for 4 floors. But we require to get to next potential energy up a little bit higher. We unfortunately need to go substantially higher, up to 300 foot. But how do we actually start creating enough space or height out of this to actually overcome this next energy barrier? Well, several options actually exist. Again, we can start to, we need a certain amount of sanitary treatment or living machines to actually not only support the building above this, but support the amount of space that we already have. In this case, one option would be we can have several floors that would support the space higher up. But as well, we can start creating space not only for recreation, but perhaps for habitat. By doing this, we can actually overcome the next energy barrier. In this case, we'll utilize hydro and solar power collected roughly 300 foot to create another set of offices. Solar potential in this case is exponential. It's directly related to proportions of the sun's surface of the sun. Fortunately, we need a certain amount for glazing, for natural light, and roughly 1/3 of the floor-to-floor height is prime to actually meet the minimums for occupant daily. Any more than that, we're going to get an excessive amount of glare and thermal heat gain, and any less than that, and we actually require more energy to actually light the interior of the building in a way to offset that. However, the remaining 2/3 of the surface area can directly be turned into, let's say, a photovoltaic system or another energy capturing system. So the amount of energy that we can actually get, again, directly relating to the surface area, so continue up and up, these numbers will go with it. However, the second option we have, 300-foot mark, and our greatest energy potential would be hydropower. By capturing rainwater that falls on the building, both on the roof and on the side of it, we can actually drop this much in the Hoover Dam power turbine, say, at the bottom of this. So as we capture water higher and higher up the building, we can actually generate substantially more electricity. So how do we actually collect this? So first, actually horizontal water, which is most skyscrapers do this, already for storm water. And pretty much 100% of the water that falls on the roof can be captured and collected. However, the second option we have is actually vertical. In this case, that being the largest amount of water that we can actually use. The site footprint of the building will be the limiting factor for the roof, but we can continue to go higher and higher and higher with the building to capture water that way. So for instance, if at the bottom of every floor we put a gutter system, we can actually capture rainwater. 1/2 the surface area of the entire skyscraper is considered collectible. And what do we start getting out of that? Well, millions of gallons of water for every couple hundred feet we're going up. So if we react with 1,000, we're almost at 100,000 gallons, and double that and double that. And the potential from this is substantial, to say the least. Unfortunately, Chicago, though it's 34 inches a year, this is a staggered amount of rain over here. So we start going off of the maximum that code actually requires. In this case, a code requires 1 inch of water must be nullified for every 24 hours, or just considered a substantial rainfall for the area. So that is a potential capture. Well, how would this hydropower work? Well, first is to capture water as high up in the building as we can, and so right. But then to actually utilize the gray water, first to flush out a sanitary system, utilize it as a sanitary flush system to double down on it, and then drop it straight down the power turbine, which will give us a majority of energy that we can utilize for the building. But before we actually discharge this and stay out of the site of the city, we can actually use those few bottom floors that we talked about perhaps as utilizing for sanitary to first treat the water before discharging to the aquifer that surrounds the site. And the amount of energy potential we get from this is substantial, to at least hundreds of megawatts. However, we start running into several limits that come with this. First and foremost is the amount that we can consume in the building at any one time. We're going to try to balance out not only the amount of space that we have for water and occupants and habitat, but the amount that can be directly captured in a given height. However, the nice part about this is that the amount of water that can flow in a 24-hour span, we can still utilize that second off the top and still directly translate into energy. So even though in a given week we need to utilize this amount of water not only to power the building but to meet our sanitary needs, the amount that falls in 1 day time frame can be directly turned into almost 10 times the amount of energy that can be either sold back to the grid, perhaps directly just utilized in the building. Trying to contain a lot of this energy on site or captured battery systems would require a substantial amount of batteries to be precise, several floors worth of facilities. So again, the amount of potential that we get from this is 100% of the roof, 50% on the side of the building. Again, as we continue to go up, we get even greater amounts. We have, again, additional potentials that can come from different sources. First and foremost, if we're going to capture millions upon millions of gallons of water, we can actually utilize this as perhaps a two-mast dam. Several skyscrapers exploring this method already and are using that. But as well, we can actually start utilizing some of this water. We have millions upon millions of gallons of disposal. As a gravity-fed fire suppression system, one currently uses this. It's not standard water code here. We use perhaps an auxiliary offset. However, an additional opportunity comes from thermal heat energy transfer. We have a substantial amount of water to the top of the building where not only the stack effect from solar, we can actually start capturing a substantial amount of heat. We're going to be dropping this straight down anyway. We can actually take some of this heat up at the top of the building and then utilize this to heat the building lower down where the more heat actually needed. In this case, per day, we can look at almost 5 to 100 tons of heating to be offset. Okay, so now we've reached our third energy trigger, and yet another set of potential comes. Again, hydro, but now we can start tapping into wind potentials. And as you can see, as we continue higher and higher, we can actually offset an exponentially increasing amount of oxygen. So the wind potential is actually also a significant factor, but unfortunately varies considerably. In this case, first you have to get about 600 foot over the top of the surrounding buildings and skyscrapers. But we also need to, our limiting factor in this is going to be the turbine size. So we have, and in the wind velocity we normally achieve. In this case, the 10-mile-an-hour wind, which is fairly standard for Chicago, and that is a smaller amount of energy per day, but would rise exponentially with the increase of this. Unfortunately, Chicago, the normal average is about 10 to 12 miles an hour. For a well-worn distribution, the amount of energy that we're going to get from this substantially decreases the amount we can actually have a greater wind velocity. So the 10 to 12 mile an hour is going to be not only more standard than average, but again, for a more specific calculation. However, wind profile power will also has shown that there is more velocity that comes from a higher building. Fortunately, as we start going taller and taller and taller, we're not going to get as much velocity increases as we think. Less than 1% energy gain is going to be achieved based on this. Going up from 1 to 2,000 foot. We were able to building to actually go 20, 30,000 feet and get substantially higher. But again, as we'll see in a few minutes, the limiting factors that we have keep us from that from achievement. However, another option is actually utilizing the wind velocity flowing over the building. In this case, putting a turbine or placing a turbine toward the top of the building where the upper quadrant will show a doubling of wind velocity that comes with this. We maintain parametric shape, we actually get not only an easier flow, but a more efficient turbine. So in summary, we have, again, hundreds of, if not up to 1,000 different megawatts of energy that we can actually start capturing. Again, the majority of it's going to come from our hydro potential, and wind will vary considerably. Unfortunately, solar and geothermal are going to get a lot less. In this calculation's case, I am utilizing the entire south side of the building, all PVs, and we have even started to scratch the surface of what we actually need. We actually run into several barriers I mentioned before. So what is the limiting factor that can actually stop the growth of the skyscrapers and keep it from, or over the limit of being Net-0? In this case, it's going to be water is discovered. The amount that we can actually collect, store on for a given 10-day time, again, rises exponentially, but the amount of occupants that we have, especially with these barriers, continue to jump and jump and jump. So what we actually end up with is a maximum limit where the amount that we collect, which is the amount required to not only service these spaces, about where our example we've been using, about 1,700 foot. Unfortunately, oddly enough, we actually have a minimum limit, especially in the other example I would show. So the building must be at least 150 foot to at least start breaking that Net-0 requirement that's bringing. So last semester we actually looked at what creates the several different versions of skyscraper generations. The first was regulation, certain ability realities, but the current one, the next generation, the technology, the amount, the ability to actually capture on-site energy and actually feed into the building. So what does this all equate to? Well, it's actually going to be a very open and very green building. By reaching the limit, doing all these calculations and ratios that we've seen before, we're only going to get about 12, if not 13 solid floors worth of office spaces. The requirement of almost an additional 5 or 6